All right. Hi, guys. I'm so excited to see so many of you here tonight. This is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart because when I started the products, I started right after having a baby, and here I am 2 years later getting ready to have another baby. So I know there are many people in this season of their life or are coming out of this season of their life or are getting ready to enter this season of their life. And I just think it's an important time to really talk about the products and how they have helped so many of us during pregnancy, pre-pregnancy, postpartum, hormones, all of the things. So I'm really glad to be here with four other ladies, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about our journeys and how the products kind of helped us a little bit. So we'll take some questions at the end if you have those, or you can pop them in the chat along the way. So I'm going to just start and introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my story. I started, like I said, right after I had my son 2 years ago. And he kind of did a number on me. I was having really terrible thyroid issues, really terrible rheumatoid arthritis issues. I have some autoimmune issues. So they all tend to flare up after I have kids when you're going through that pretty traumatic delivery. And I didn't really know what to do. They were giving me more medications and more medications, and I didn't want to take medications because I was breastfeeding my son and I wanted it to be as natural as possible. I knew I was going to continue that. So I pushed back on the doctors and I was like, I want to look for something else. And I came across Plexus and I did a lot of reading and I talked to a lot of people, and everything I kept hearing was that it's all natural, it's plant-based, it's safe, it's healthy. I can do this while I'm breastfeeding. And I did, and I had amazing success. I nursed my son for over 13 months, no issues, never had to supplement with him. It was a fantastic journey all around. Postpartum, easy recovery once I started on the products, and it was wonderful. Then 2 years later, my husband and I decided to have a third baby. It's not exactly a walk in the park, I will say. For us, we have to do fertility treatments, and we had to for all three children. But with this third one, we only had to do one round of fertility treatment. And if you are in that world at all, you know that sometimes you go 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 rounds. My daughter was like 9 rounds of different types of fertility treatment and multiple IVF treatments before we were actually successful with her. So I stayed on the products the entire time I was going through the journey. I checked with all my doctors and everything I was taking was fine. There was nothing that was going to interact with my medications. And I was able to take it while I was going through fertility treatments, which kept up my energy, which kept up my digestion and my inflammation and keeping me feeling normal, plus balancing my hormones because you're injecting a lot of hormones into your body. So having that to keep me feeling good, but also keeping my body healthy and safe, made this journey so much easier. Like I said, one round, and here I am 25 weeks pregnant. And so thankful that I had the products to keep everything going. I've continued to use them throughout my pregnancy, and I've had, thankfully, no issues with digestion this time. I am someone that my previous 2 pregnancies, like those little fiber gummy vitamins, you're supposed to take, I think, like 2 a day. When I'm pregnant, I take like 11 a day just to keep my digestion regular. And I haven't had to take a single one this time. And it's been phenomenal. On top of that, the inflammation in my body and just overall feeling great, which is not always the case in pregnancy. I attribute a lot of that to the products and keeping everything balanced and in check. So I've used the products, like I said, in kind of all facets of my life, in that postpartum period, in fertility treatment period, and now in pregnancy. And I'm just so thankful to have had them during all of those stages. So I'm going to pass it off to Heather, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her journey.
Hey guys, like Leslie mentioned, I'm Heather, and I started out on the products 4 years ago, which is crazy because I won't say I was against supplements, but I was not a believer in them. And I didn't think that I needed them for any reason. I kind of thought that they were silly, and I ate well, I exercised, and that's just what I thought that I needed to do to be healthy. And I wasn't really like struggling with anything. So I did not want to take the products. I actually had talked to my good friend for a while. I talked to her even while I was pregnant. Like most of you probably, I was like, no, definitely don't want to start anything if I do while I'm pregnant. I didn't look into them, none of that. And I was actually 6 months postpartum with my son when I was like, okay, I'm going to kind of look into these and just see, just because I did want to be my healthiest. And I was like, there's no harm in just kind of seeing what they're about. So I looked at the ingredients, loved them. I mean, they were simple, clean. I could read them, I could understand them. And that's when I just found how important gut health was. And I was like, okay, maybe there is something to these supplements. So I started taking them. I was breastfeeding, did not think that I needed any help with my milk supply, but my milk supply did increase, which I thought was pretty cool because obviously my body needed that. So I was able to get to the full year of breastfeeding my son, which was my goal. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and I was like, you know what? I believe in these products at this point. Hold on, Sai's gonna start squeaking his toy. I was like, I believe in these products at this point. I'm gonna still take them, but I want to take them to my midwife. So I took them to my midwife, and she approved of them. So I took them throughout that entire pregnancy. I breastfed her for 14 months. And something that was even more cool than the first time was, again, I didn't think I needed help with my milk supply, but I was chasing around a toddler and I thought maybe it would slow down. But I actually ended up donating like 900 ounces to another mom because I had so much saved. So that was just like a little blessing that I didn't know that would happen. And so after that 14 months, we were like, you know what, we want to have another baby. I ended up having a miscarriage, early miscarriage around 5 weeks, still continued my products. Then I got pregnant again and I miscarried at 15 weeks, and I had a DNC at that point. And something that I found was so cool about the products, well, I think contributed a little bit with the products, was one thing that they help to do is balance out your hormones. And after the miscarriage and the DNC, literally like clockwork, 4 weeks later, I started my period. And that just was like, had me sold. I got pregnant 2 weeks after my first miscarriage, and I'm like, okay, these supplements definitely are helping me. I continued them, and they were just such a blessing during that time. I ended up having a gene mutation anyway. So then we got pregnant again, and I'm now, tomorrow I'll be 27 weeks and have had an amazing pregnancy. I mean, all of the pregnancies have been great. I feel good. I don't have to take any stool softeners after delivery. I'm kind of one of those weirdos that even if I have a headache, I don't want to take Tylenol. I wanted to have my babies naturally if I could, because I didn't want to put anything in my body if I didn't have to. So for me to like take these supplements is kind of a big deal because I do pay a lot of attention to all of those things. So just to have the energy to chase around my two small kids and to be pregnant with my third, have a puppy that's running around, like, has just been so good. Overall feeling balanced and cleansed each day, healthier now than even when I was in college, honestly, playing volleyball and doing fitness competitions and all of that. So that is my story. And I am going to pass it over to Courtney, and she's going to talk to you guys about her journey.
Hey guys, like Heather said, I'm Courtney. So happy to be sharing tonight. I know that Leslie and Heather shared a little bit about the pregnancy and postpartum, but I'm actually going to tell you my story kind of pre-pregnancy. So years ago, my husband and I were going through the hardest time. We were going through 3 years of infertility. We saw, I feel like, every fertility doctor in the Cincinnati area, and all of them did blood work, ultrasounds, tested my husband, and most of them just came back saying, like, it's unexplained. We were 28 at the time, and in my heart, I was like, I'm so young. Like, why isn't this happening? It's not there. It can't be unexplained. Like, I just don't understand that. And they're like, you can do IUI, you can do IVF, we can do different like Clomid, different shots, things like that. And just like deep down in my heart, I just knew that wasn't for us. And my whole life, I've struggled with just horrible period cramps, horrible bloating, night sweats. I mean, like taking off work, pass out, horrible period cramps. And I feel like a lot of the medical community wants you to think that that's normal, and it's not. So I actually had a friend who referred me to just a normal OBGYN, and he was the one who did a surgery called a laparoscopy, and that's what diagnosed my stage 3 endometriosis. So just briefly, if you don't know what endometriosis is, it's every time we have a period, you shed your uterine lining, and like people with endometriosis, it grows on the outside of the uterus and there's nowhere for it to go. So it's just tons of inflammation and lesions that like can mess up your anatomy and things like that. So I had a surgery, and after that, I actually had 2 miscarriages. And after 3 years of struggling, 2 miscarriages, we were like so done. So I waited a few months, and I actually saw another fertility doctor who wanted to do IUI. And I said, I just want another surgery. I know that it's back. I can feel the symptoms, the bloating. And so I had another surgery and got pregnant with our first daughter. And then after that, I could feel it coming back. Endometriosis isn't something that just goes away. It's like a lifelong thing hormonally that you live with. And I could feel it coming back. So I actually did a lot of research on my own and scheduled another type of surgery in Columbus. But before I had that, we got pregnant with my second daughter, but it took months to, it was difficult again. And then after I had her, I kept seeing my friend post about this pink drink, and I was interested. So she sent me a sample, and it tasted so good. And I reached out to her and just said, I don't really know much about gut health, but this tastes so good. I kind of need this in my life. So she asked me a bunch of questions, and not really even thinking about my inflammation and endometriosis, I started just because of the health benefits she had told me about. And it was 3 months later, I noticed that I really wasn't having to take ibuprofen for my cramps. I wasn't having night sweats, and I just felt more balanced. I felt like my hormones were more balanced. And here I am today. It literally took one try, and I'm 22 weeks pregnant. And we just found out we're having a little boy. So we're very excited and love sharing my story. So thank you.
Courtney just dropped it on us. She's having a little boy. She has 2 little girls right now. So exciting. I am Allie, and I'm going to share my journey next. And I'm also a nurse practitioner. So, just aside from Plexus and my love for health, which I didn't realize so much stemmed from gut health, I'm just going to explain a little bit about the science behind Plexus and why it's so beneficial and why supplements are so helpful for pregnancy and postpartum and mama life in general. Every single person on this planet has hormone fluctuations. So before I get into my little love for the products, and I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. Just my journey. I started Plexus 4 years ago, around the time that I was getting married. So, of course, long before I had the sweet pregnancy part of my journey, but Plexus really helped with things that I didn't realize weren't normal, which was waking up having headaches and just needing ibuprofen to function, waking up, not feeling rested, bloating all the time. I was on birth control at the time. And if you've ever taken birth control as a woman, that is absolutely messing with your hormones. You're giving your body hormones to stop cycles or regulate cycles or prevent, all the things birth control is for. But that is one thing that's very hard on your gut. And so at the time, the only answer I got for my bloating and my irregularity was, it's probably because you're on birth control. Don't worry about it. Just take Metamucil, take Miralax, stay active, which I absolutely love to exercise. So that was not an issue, but not using the restroom regularly, acid reflux, chewing Tums daily, and just didn't feel well. And so my friend who you heard from earlier, Heather, had told me about this gut health stuff. And I totally trusted her because she was a health guru, did fitness competitions. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. I think I know, I worked in endoscopy at the time, which was actually gastroenterology nursing, where I'm looking at colons and stomachs and guts with a scope. But anyways, gut health is not something that I learned in depth about in 9 years of nursing school. So again, I fell in love with it. Here I am 4 years later. My son is 2.5. I took the products all through pregnancy, breastfed him for a year. I know one of the girls already touched on milk supply and how that's related to hormones. And I'm currently 32 weeks pregnant with my little daughter. So I'm really excited to be here tonight sharing my story, but I just want to touch on a couple products that are so beneficial for any single person on this planet, whether you're childbearing, whether you're postpartum, maybe you're menopausal. Those are all hormone fluctuations. And so this little pink drink that we keep talking about, there's 2 kinds, and I actually mixed it up because I love that there's no caffeine in it. And I just wanted something to drink. So, hey, why not have a pink drink, right? So the great thing about this is it has chromium in it, which is a natural mineral that helps balance your blood sugar. And insulin is your master hormone. And so insulin, a lot of people associate that with diabetes. That's correct. People that don't have sufficient insulin regulation develop diabetes. Their pancreas doesn't work, or they develop it due to poor diet and lack of exercise, and their hormones are out of whack and their body starts to shut down. So they need things to regulate all that. But every single human body has insulin production, and insulin regulates everything else: your female hormones, sex hormones, stress hormone, cortisol, your thyroid hormone. So all of it works like a well-oiled machine if it's balanced. But if it's not, there's all kinds of ups and downs, and that's when you feel symptoms. You might feel brain fog, fatigue, bloating, mood swings. All of that is your blood sugar. So that is the main thing that this lovely pink drink does. No artificial anything. It's sweetened with stevia from a plant sugar. It's the only kind of sugar in it. No artificial colors. It's beetroot that colors it, watermelon, raspberry. So it tastes good if you haven't tasted it yet, but it is such a key to helping your body to align like it's supposed to. So that's what your friend, or you may notice Plexus for, but that is just the tippy top of what Plexus is, but definitely backed by science. And that's why we truly love it, because there's probably lots of other things that mamas or women or just people in general, but moms, and since we're talking about developing humans here, a lot of other things that we could put into our bodies that we don't know what it's good for, but maybe we're just in a habit of drinking things daily, like sodas or coffee and things like that. So the next thing that is so helpful with pregnancy is Probio 5. And let me just say here that, Plexus doesn't claim to help you conceive. It doesn't prevent, treat, cure disease or prevent illness, but it helps promote wellness. And so probiotics, there's a bazillion of them out there. And so you may be thinking, well, I take a probiotic from Amazon. but I don't really feel a difference. Or what makes that so different than my probiotic in my refrigerator? So long story short, probiotics, they're not all created equal. Yes, there's a ton of them out there, but the reason that this one is so superior and just really greatly formulated is it has good stuff. So probiotics, it actually means to give life. So replenishing the life, the good stuff in your gut, that's off. So it gets balance back in there. And so yeast is very, very common in our bodies, and it feeds on stress, and it feeds on sugar and carbs and medicines. All of that causes yeast overgrowth. And so this little guy is like a ninja that breaks it up with digestive enzymes. So that is a key part of why this is so beneficial, because it feeds the good stuff, but it also scrapes out the bad. So it weeds out what you don't want in there. And so that's why it's so helpful at targeting the gut and actually finding that balance again. But as far as, pregnancy related, so why would someone take this? It's not FDA approved, right? But it's not a food and it's not a drug. There's lots of drugs out there that people take during pregnancy because they're safe, but there's lots of side effects. And so that being said, probiotics help the balance in lots of things in early infant years, like cradle cap and diaper rash and thrush. All of those actually stem from yeast overgrowth. And so if you're healthy as a mama and you're passing those nutrients to your baby, those are less likely to be something that your baby experiences. So super, super important, even vaginal birth, you pass on the good bacteria from your health and from your gut health to your baby when it comes through the birth canal. And it helps boost their immunity by you having healthy gut bacteria. The next thing is the BioCleanse. And so this would be considered the Plexus gut health system. It helps with that hormone balance. It helps with regulating, balance, keyword for the night, and BioCleanse. So some people see this and they get nervous, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to live in the restroom. So BioCleanse is not a laxative, and it is not going to be a quick cleanse. It's a gentle magnesium cleanser that's safe for daily use. And again, you can look up all the things that are linked to magnesium deficiency. With pregnancy specifically, restless legs is very common in people that have magnesium deficiency. And about 80% of women are deficient in that and don't know it. But very, very helpful for regularity, flushing out toxins. And holy cow, constipation is not fun. You're inevitably going to have hormones go up when you're growing a human, but having a gentle cleanser that oxygenates your body, that has a vitamin C that's an antioxidant, just to help keep all that down, is super, super important. And so I know some of the other girls have said, going to poop the first time after delivery is like a must. And sometimes people have to be on stool softeners and Miralax for days before they can actually go. And just thanks to Plexus, that is something that me personally used to struggle with before having kids, and no longer, because of, again, the gentle detoxifying benefits of the BioCleanse. And so I talked about the probiotic, feeding the gut, and BioCleanse weeds out the stuff that needs to come out. And so that they work together really well that way. The last two things, the next one is X Factor Plus. This is Plexus's multivitamin, and I love it. All the products are plant-based, and this one's actually bright green. So this is the size of all of the Plexus products. And so they're encapsulated, which is great because this is part of the science behind them. They can withstand the stomach acid digestion so that it can actually make it to your gut for absorption. Some things that you might buy over the counter are synthetic, lots of preservatives, might make you very nauseous. And that's because a lot of times they are in not natural forms. So your body kind of knows that, and you have that symptom of nausea. But X Factor Plus is 19 different vitamins, minerals. I know a lot of girls on here use this as a prenatal. And one of the great things about it is if you are a mama expectant or have had kids, that folic acid they always say is very, very important for development of your baby. This actually has folate, which is the natural form of folic acid. So your body can absorb that to the best of its ability. And again, these are very important for babies, creating babies, postpartum, and just filling gaps in any diet that we know usually lacks some of the important nutrients. And like I said, the nausea feelings that you get, in pregnancy or just any time really can be hormonally caused, like hormone imbalances. So balancing your blood sugar with the pink drink can really cut down on nausea as well. And then lastly is ease. This is a natural anti-inflammatory. We know when we're pregnant, the only thing you can take is Tylenol. I might as well not even have it in your closet, right? But this uses turmeric and it uses an omega to really target cellular inflammation. And so puffiness, bloating, swelling, all of those things that come, with pregnancy and postpartum, ease is very, very helpful. The aches, the joints, all of that stuff. And so this is personally what my regimen looks like for pregnancy, postpartum, and for the last 4 years. And so, what I love too is that if you're here learning and you are just like, I don't know what I want to put in my body when I'm pregnant, there is so much, tools and nutrition information your friend can provide you with details of all the ingredients if it is something that you would like to take to your doctor. But me being in that role as well outside of Plexus, sometimes doctors just don't really know about supplementation. And so they kind of just push it to the side because it's not something that's studied in medical school. So just keeping that in mind, if you have any questions about what I had shared or what you think might be a good swap for something that you're currently taking, you can drop it here in the comments or ask your friend that invited you here tonight. But like I said, I'm 32 weeks growing my baby here. So we're really excited that you're here, and I'm going to pass it on to Miss Andrea, who is our beautiful postpartum mama here tonight on our call.
All right, you guys, I love this. It's always so nice to have someone with a medical background also kind of just speak up, because I know when I started 6 years ago, can't believe it's been 6 years, but I was super into ingredients, and that's kind of how Heather and I connected. And I just remember thinking, like, I was going to the doctor for digestion issues. This is before I was pregnant, and I would always go and they would say, you're fine. Just take Miralax, just take this X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I just don't want to live my life like always taking this medication or, Miralax or whatever it may be, and it just be a temporary fix. And so I just love that she, suggested that, because I never heard gut health from any of my doctors, and a lot of my issues were rooted in the gut. And so that's kind of how Plexus came about. I heard it from a friend. She shared her pink drink with me, and the rest is history. And so I actually am 2 months postpartum with my third baby. And you guys, I don't know what pregnancy is like without Plexus, but I know a lot of mamas who say that they wish they would have had Plexus during their pregnancies, and they are so happy that they have it now because of the inflammation, the aches and pains, the constipation. And that was one of my issues before I started Plexus. I was always constipated. And so I remember getting pregnant with my first son. I have 3 boys. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I heard that constipation is terrible. Like, and I was just like so fearful, like, because I literally only used to use the bathroom 2 times a week. And I was like, I can't, like, I've got to make sure I have like all the tools in my toolbox. And luckily Plexus came through. And, I just remember feeling so good during my first pregnancy. And I was like, okay, maybe that was a fluke because, first pregnancy, body, blah, blah, blah. Go to my second pregnancy and I'm feeling still so good. I worked out up until I was, had both of my boys, worked out all throughout my pregnancy. Never really had any cravings for anything bad. Really stayed on track with all of my eating. And one of the biggest things that really stood out to me is before I started Plexus, I was super puffy, and I was 26 years old when I started. And I just remember thinking, like, inflammation, that's what people also talked about during pregnancy. And I did a side-by-side photo, and I remember looking at my second pregnancy versus when I started Plexus, and I'm like, wouldn't you think that I would be way more puffier, like 40 weeks pregnant, all the water retention and all those things versus 26-year-old me? And you guys, it was like night and day. And I can tell you that now, being on my third postpartum, but third baby, like I have 3 under 3.5 and a 6-month puppy. I literally have energy, and I just, it's like stuck to my thing, but just got finished drinking our clean energy drink Active. And you guys, I drank this throughout pregnancy because for me, I need the sustained energy. Like, I don't need crashes. I don't want, gross ingredients from Red Bull or whatever, which I hope you don't take while you're pregnant, but you need an option for sustained energy because, when we're pregnant, our bodies are working overtime. And I love, love, love that the Active, it's honestly one of my favorite. Who takes Active in here right now? What is your favorite part about it? Because I know for me, not only is it amazing because you don't crash, you don't feel jittery, you're not like on like a zip of, you're not like, overly energetic. It's super clean, and it helps the natural nitric oxide in our bodies, which nitric oxide production is so important for just essential overall health because it allows blood, nutrients, and oxygen to travel to all parts of our body effectively. And you guys, that is super important, especially when you're pregnant, especially going through that stage of life. You want to make sure that you are absorbing all the nutrients that you can when you're getting from your vitamins, from your food. And so I have just loved this, and I've carried it on in through postpartum. And you guys, like I said, I chase after 2 very busy boys while having a 2-month-old and, minimal sleep, but I'm still able to get up and feel not like a zombie. And I know so many people come to me and they're like, okay, what are you doing? Because you are literally like chasing 3 kids, doing this, building a house in the midst of it. And you guys, I should be crashing at night, but instead I'm actually feeling good to do things for myself, hang out with my husband and not just crash and go right to bed. And so it just feels really good. And like most of them on here said, is like that postpartum of, bowel movements and things like that. I'm telling you, you cannot go through pregnancy or postpartum without the products that Allie highlighted. My sister just had her 5th baby, and she had her first 3 without Plexus. And she's like, I will never, because what do? They prescribe a stool softener, Miralax, whatever it may be. And I just remember her always complaining about that part. And so that's why I was so fearful. But we both just had a baby within a month of each other. And she was like, we were laughing because we were like, did you take your 6 bio cleanse? Like, cause that's what you got to do right after you have a baby. And she's like, I feel so good. I cannot believe like I never had this before. And so coming from a mom of 5, that says a lot too. And she's also loves the Active energy drink. And so you guys, definitely, if this is something that, you have thought about, or you're pregnant or you're postpartum, this is so good. Our immune systems, especially during pregnancy, are super vulnerable, and having those extra probiotics for the immunity of you and your baby as well. And if you're breastfeeding, I'm breastfeeding right now, have breastfed all 3 of my babies, abundant milk supply, just like Heather said. And not only that, but I'm passing along the probiotics from my probiotic and the good bacteria to my baby, because they're immune. They cannot build their own gut health up until they're 6 months old. So they rely on us to give them those good things from our milk. And so when we take a probiotic, we're passing those good bacteria into their immune system, which I feel so confident knowing that he's getting a really strong gut health built from the start. And so that's really important, something I didn't know until a few years ago. So the more you know. If any of this speaks to you, or you have more questions, get with the person who invited you here. I know that this community is just, full of people who are willing to help answer questions. We have some really great discounts going on right now. And so if you feel nudged to join us, be a part of this community, we welcome you. But if you have a couple more questions, get with the person who invited you. They will be happy to answer your questions, and we hope to see you inside our community soon. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if you guys have any questions, just drop it in the chat box. Thank you, Leslie, again for putting this on. This was awesome. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your story. Bye, guys.